Hey everybody, this is So Many Sequels, your book club for movies, and I'm Josh.
I'm David.
Today on the show, we are diving into a bunch of newly announced sequels, examining one franchise that may have reached its end, and discussing Sony's purchase of the Alamo Drafthouse and what that could mean for the future of one of movie fans' favorite chains. You know, this is Alamo Drafthouse. We don't even have one, but I've been to one, so we can talk about that. But first, we always like to start this show by catching up on what we've been doing this week. First of all, you may notice that it's just the two of us today. Garrett's taking the weekend off, so he's off enjoying his day, and we're doing the show. He'll be back next week, though, for our regularly scheduled programming. But today, it's the David and Josh show, which has been long-running for probably longer than most would like. Better shows have been canceled sooner.
Yeah, it spanned many mediums, from radio to audio podcast to now video on YouTube. Yeah. The show continues to run, but we'll see Garrett again soon.
We will. I have a couple movies I want to talk about, but I think we need to talk about some big fun news first for you, for us, for the show, for the people of, well, really anywhere, but Greater Tulsa are most likely to read this. David, you're starting to do reviews now for News on 6 here in Tulsa, right?
I am.
Tell us
So
about
I've been
that.
working at News on. Yeah, I've been working at News on 6 for fittingly like 6 years. Technically 10 years if you include my time with the radio stations they bought shortly after I came on. I've always wanted to do movie reviews, but it always kind of felt like it wasn't really my place to do them. You know, like it was no one said when they hired me, they didn't say, "Oh, and by the way, feel free to write movie reviews if you want." So, just
Other
over time,
duties
kind
as
of built the. Just over time, just kind of built the confidence, and then we kind of this last year they were like, we're looking to expand our content overall into different things. Like they wanted to start, the station wanted to start like a food scene kind of blog. They wanted to start like a music scene kind of thing. And those things are still kind of in various stages of development. But I finally said, can I just write movie reviews? And they were like, yeah, go for it. And I said, okay, all right, I'll get started. And so you can read my Inside Out 2 review at newson6.com. Just search Inside Out and News on 6, and hopefully the SEO works out. But but also we'll try to incorporate a little bit more So Many Sequels flair into there, because they've been very supportive of my of this podcast and my pursuits there, and so there'll be a little bit of tie-in, and maybe
Synergy.
we'll start posting those. Synergy indeed, and maybe, and I'm talking with some of the other people who kind of have connections through News on 6 here with the Oklahoma Film and Television Association. Hopefully we can get some more interviews here. Maybe we can get some more previews here for what's going on in Oklahoma. So that's, some various ideas that we've got cooking.
We're very excited to see the folks over at News on 6 be supportive of your movie reviews and your role in this show and helping us and helping them and all that fun stuff. So yeah, look for those at newson6.com, and we'll post them also on our social media as they drop, whenever they drop. So you can find us there, So Many Sequels Pod, wherever you get your daily dose of social media. But yes, I did watch some new movies over the past couple weeks that I wanted to share with you all. I've been doing this series at AMC that they call Screen Unseen. I've talked about it a couple times on here. But the premise is they do one screening of a movie that is not out yet, but they don't tell you what it is until the movie begins, and you just see the credits roll. You have no idea what you're going into. You get an idea of the runtime, but that's about, and the rating, and that's about it. So I've been doing that for a couple weeks at my local AMC, and I was able to catch Thelma and the Bike Riders that way, both of which came out this weekend as of this recording, June 21st, I think. And I was really pleased with both of them. I think I'd recommend them both to you, David. I was trying to decide which one I should talk about first, but let's do the Bike Riders because it's more recently on my head. I watched that one at last week's showing. And I'd heard of the movie, but I didn't know much about it. I hadn't even seen a trailer for it yet when it came out. And all I knew was we've got a lot of famous people, a lot of big stars. We got Austin Butler, Tom Hardy, Jodie Comer, Michael Shannon. Pretty good cast. And it's based on a book that was written kind of documenting this Texas motorcycle gang in the 50s, 60s era. And it's kind of told through these it's kind of told with a narration behind it where we're kind of seeing this reporter or this college reporter who is studying the gang interviewing Jodie Comer's character, and so we see these scenes then play out through the movie, getting an idea of the full picture. And I saw people describe it as Goodfellas but on motorcycles, and that fit for me pretty well. Now it doesn't reach the heights of Goodfellas. You know, that's one of the very popular classic crime gang movies. And so it doesn't quite hit those limits, but it has that feel. It's got humor to it. It's the gang is very mob-like, mafia-like. But there's a lot of fun things going on in there. Tom Hardy is the king of putting on voices. He's got a great accent here. That's just fun to watch. Same with Jodie Comer. And then Austin Butler is extremely good at grunting. He's gotten very good at that kind of grunt talking. So overall, I was impressed with it, and I thought it was a lot of fun. Well, I don't want to oversell the fun part. It's fun, but you know, it's also a drama. So I found a lot to enjoy about it. I think if you know, you're into crime movies, gang movies, mafia, whatever, motorcycles, action, I would recommend this movie to those people.
Yeah, I was actually that was one of the ones I was hoping I'd get a chance to see this weekend, but just didn't really have the ability to get out of the house to do that. But I'm interested in that. I remember when the trailer started coming out, it's very like there was kind of already like a weird polarizing effect for some people.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm interested. I'm really curious to see how that movie turns out because it looks like it looks like my kind of movie. But you also saw Thelma?
Yeah, I did. Thelma, saw it the same way. Didn't know about it. And I wanted to say, The Bike Riders, I don't think is a movie that I may have seen intentionally. You know, in the theater. I might have waited, just because I was unsure based on what little I'd heard. But just kind of going into a blind, it worked out well. Thelma, I had heard about and had seen a poster in a theater not too long ago. But I wasn't quite sure what to expect with it. And I came out of this describing it as Mission Impossible, but you replace Tom Cruise with a 90-year-old woman, June Squibb, who we actually just talked about in Inside Out 2. She plays Nostalgia, I believe, who has a couple great moments. But this movie, Thelma, wow. It stars, like I said, June Squibb, Richard Roundtree, Parker Posey, and Clark Gregg. We love Clark Gregg. He was a pleasant surprise to see. And basically, the premise here is June Squibb's character, Thelma, is taken advantage of by like one of those phone scam artists and kind of deep fakes her grandson to get her to give up money. So she pays a lot of money to a scammer thinking she's helping her grandson, finds out about it. Everybody tells her, oh, you got to be more careful, Thelma. You're 90 now. You can't be doing this. You got to, maybe it's time, you know, you go live with us or live in a home or something like that. And she goes, no, I'm going to get that damn money back. And then it turns into this like action comedy of this 90-year-old lady on a mission to get her money back from the scammers. Will she do it? I'll never tell. But that is Thelma. I found it surprisingly funny. The Mission Impossible satire is real. Like, that's not, I didn't make that up. She mentions Mission Impossible as one of her favorite movies. She loves Tom Cruise. There are several scenes that directly satire scenes in that movie that are really funny, or parody. And it also had a lot of heart to it because there's this other message in there about how you know, she's 90 but doesn't feel it. She's like, I can still do this. Aging shouldn't matter in this way. So
That's
it's,
how Tom Cruise feels.
yeah, exactly. That's why he does all his, running. So I was touched by it and I laughed a lot. Thelma, good movie. Recommend that one
And yeah,
to
and
watch with a group of people, I think.
one of our new patrons, Matt, said it was one of the films that he loved for this year. He says
Yeah.
he's gonna probably recommend that one to everybody he gets a chance to.
Yeah, yeah. And I will too. I not sure yet where it's going to slide into my 2024 list. Thankfully, we've already done our mid-year, so I don't have to worry about that for a while. But it's going to be one that I remember at least. I've seen people talk online recently about how it feels like there's not a lot of comedies coming out in theaters, kind of a dry spell for comedy, and I think that's true to a degree because most of the comedies I feel I've seen lately are these kind of under the radar movies like a Thelma that don't have big budget or big stars attached to draw names. So I recommend a comedy any chance I get if it made me laugh.
That's good to hear. I look forward to checking that one out too.
Did you get a chance to watch anything per chance before we move on?
Not really.
Yeah.
Nothing 2024. Like I did watch Anyone But You from the end of last year, this week, but other than that, I didn't really get to see anything like new.
Yeah.
Out of this year.
Well, then let's talk about some news items this week because there's some interesting things going on. For one, we have, for the first time ever, a major studio in Sony Pictures has purchased a movie theater chain, the Alamo Drafthouse. Why don't you, David, explain this story a little bit for everybody? I think you've done some research into it.
Prior to what was known as the Paramount Decrees, which is this basically the golden age of Hollywood, as people think of it, theaters were owned by studios. Every studio basically had their own chain, except for the Walt Disney Company back then. Interestingly enough, but they found that basically that allowed certain studios to basically create like these monopolies and these like it wasn't fair trading and all that. So the government, interestingly enough, said, you know what, no, shutting that down. Studios can't own theaters anymore, and it was known as the Paramount Decrees. Now today, Paramount is literally the only studio left that still exists from that day. Most of the other studios have either been bought up or have gone out of business. So in 2020, those decrees were declared no longer valid, which meant that it opened the way for studios to buy theater chains, whether that's AMC or Cineworld or Regal or what's the other big one, Cinemark, or any of these other smaller ones like Alamo Drafthouse. And Alamo Drafthouse over this last few years has been really struggling. The pandemic hurt it a lot, and they were going bankrupt. And so they needed someone to step in, and Sony Pictures, of all people, stepped in to buy the theater chain. Now, there's been a lot of discourse about what this could mean for the future, because this is the first time since those decrees ended that someone's gone ahead, taken the plunge, and tried this. You know, the immediate response is, well, Alamo Drafthouse is not going to be what it once was. You know, they've got new corporate ownership. It was kind of one of those businesses that was established with kind of consumers in mind. It was one of these first big theaters that kind of would serve food and alcohol and things like that. It was a much different. You know, you've said you've been to one before.
Yeah, they're also pretty well known for
experience.
having an extremely strict no phones policy where they will eject you from the theater for even bringing it out, and they do, from what people say, do not mess around with that. So, I've been to one of the ones in Texas, and it was pretty good. This was not in the heyday of Alamo Drafthouse. It wasn't too long ago, or it was several years ago though, and I had a good time with it. You know, we don't have regional chains here in Oklahoma. Really, we did for a while when we had the Warren, but once they sold to Regal, we lost that. So it was interesting to kind of get a taste of a different movie theater experience that wasn't one of the big chains or our favorite nonprofit indie movie theater here in town, Circle Cinema.
That's true. And so immediately what jumps to mind is, okay, who's next?
Yeah.
Like, Does a Disney buy AMC?
And what's left?
Does
Because I don't
yeah
think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be one of those big three for a while.
yeah
I don't think we're going to see anyone go after AMC, Regal, or Cinemark. But there
yeah
are a good number of regional chains, especially in bigger cities, bigger markets, that could be bought up. You know, during the pandemic, ArcLight in California went out of business. Something like that could be a potential target for a buyer here.
yeah. Here in our region, here in our region, Oklahoma. There's also some in like Missouri, Kansas, Arkansas, Texas. There's a theater chain called B&B.
Yes, as soon as you
And-
started talking, I remembered them.
And they are, I think, the fifth largest chain in the country. But like compared to those big three that you named, they're fairly far down. Like the gap between the third largest and the fifth largest is pretty big. So something like that might be within the range of a worthwhile investment for a big studio to say, okay, we don't have to put in $4 billion for this. We could get away with $1 billion for this, or something like that. But let's take it to its furthest extreme. Let's say each of the big movie studios buys a big chain along the way. What could happen with that? Now, we talked about this a little bit on Threads a few weeks ago. The first thing your mind jumps to is like, well, they would just show exclusively their movies, right? Like Disney would show exclusively their movies in their theaters. It would essentially cut out the exhibitor percentage that currently happens now, where as of right now, movie theaters get a certain percentage of the movie's gross, or movies, gross, and then the studio gets the rest. And over the course of the time that I think maybe you know this better than me, Josh. Over the course of time that the movie is in theaters, I think does the studio get more of the percentage, or does the theater get more of the percentage? Do you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure how that rolls out, especially anymore with how so many things got rewritten to shorten the theatrical window. I don't know how that works anymore.
But you would think, with the exception of a few things, if Disney is the producer of the film, the distributor of the film, and the exhibitor of the film, they are not splitting that money with anybody, essentially, right? They would be able to they would basically be able to get 100% or as close to 100% of their money back for whatever film they put out. And you would think that they would all just kind of divide up. And you had said, man, I really don't want a world where I have to go to one movie to see a Disney movie, or one theater to see a Disney movie, and I have to drive like across town to see a Warner Brothers movie. Which sounds very plausible, that these would basically become, streaming services in real life. But there's also the scenario where quickly, almost as quickly as they realized with streaming, this is like they need that other revenue. So maybe a Disney-owned AMC looks at Warner Brothers and says, "Hey, we will show your movies here for a split."
Right, they're going to do the same stupid thing that they've done 3 times in a row now. That they did with cable, that they do with streaming, and that they will do again with theaters, where they realize that they can't make money on their own. Somehow they just keep missing that lesson over and over again. Because in this world, those are the extremes. I think what's probably more likely to happen is we see. I don't know that we'll get. I don't know that Sony's going to do exclusive, Sony movies. But
I don't think so.
There's two big pros that I see, which is they do get, maybe, let's say a Sony movie gets an exclusive week early release at Alamo Drafthouse theaters, and then it opens to a wider audience the next week. I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's also just the vertical integration argument we're talking about, where they do favor Sony movies in the theater, but then also they play PlayStation ads in front of the movie. I don't know what else Sony owns. I only think about them as PlayStation and the people who ruined Spider-Man. but I could see that. But then the cons that I see, the two big ones, especially for Alamo Drafthouse, is they could potentially lose, their pretty unique identity and brand in the movie theater space as being a place for movie fans, not casual fans. It's kind of how it's been in the past anyway. So I could see that being an issue. and then there's just the downside of favoring Sony movies, which is missing out on other stuff potentially.
Yeah, I mean, so as of right now, here's what I will say, and this might be sort of like, I don't know, I'm not saying this because I'm like pro corporations or anything like that, but of all the studios right now who are most primed to make profit off of what they're doing, it's Sony, because Sony doesn't have their own streaming service. So everything they've got an exclusive deal with Netflix, and then they've also got some deals, some like after that those exclusivity deals end, they have deals with some of the other streamers. So like Sony's not losing money on a streaming service. They're making money off of all the movies they make when they go to streaming. They're making money in the movie theaters. Now they own a movie theater in which they can charge the other studios to show,
Yeah.
not charge, but you know what I mean? They can get a percentage of the other I don't know how, the money chain and how all that works, I don't know how that goes to like paying back what the theater costs to run. I'm sure at the end of the day it won't be as much money as possible, but like Sony is the most equipped to be profitable right now of all the studios, because they're not sinking millions of dollars into a streaming service that doesn't make back what it costs.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how the other studios follow suit after, because I could see them buying like a couple of movie theaters, and one or two, but not necessarily a full chain, because that's a lot of real estate you're having to purchase as well.
Right. And then there's the other option out there that we didn't even discuss yet, which is a streamer studio like Netflix buying a chain. I don't know if Netflix specifically is interested. They haven't really said that I've heard, but they did purchase the historic Egyptian theater in Los Angeles a few years ago, restored it to its original look, and use it to premiere Netflix films. And I don't know if they're exclusively Netflix, but I believe it's not. I don't think it operates as a normal theater. I think it's mostly for special programming. But
yeah, I think it's
a Netflix would be the ones to not show other studios if they did it.
Yeah, I think Netflix, and there's almost an element of like they're almost exclusively doing that for the prestige of being able to be nominated for Academy Awards.
Right.
So I could see maybe not just like the big studios, but like you said, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, they could get in on that because they've got money to burn. Both all three of those. So I could definitely see them getting in on that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'd be curious to know what you all think. If you are a regular customer at Alamo Drafthouse, let us know how you feel about this change. Visit us on our socials at So Many Sequels Pod. Let us know if you're into this or not, or if you would, be open to studios owning movie theaters. I'm pretty. I don't know. I don't feel great about it right now, but we'll see how this Alamo thing works out. All right, let's talk about some sequel news. We have a few things to talk about here. Number one on our list being the, to me, and probably to a lot of others, very sad news that, not news, but credible speculation that Mad Max, the follow-up to the planned follow-up to Furiosa, The Wasteland, may not happen after all, based on the box office reception of Furiosa being as disappointing as it was historically bad, if you all may remember. People who the people who did see it really liked it, but nobody else went to see it.
Yeah,
unfortunately. So we've heard from Tom Hardy recently that he doesn't think that is going to happen. George Miller, I don't know if he's really commented on it per se, but he is got other things he wants to do, and he's also 80 years old. So it's one of those things where it doesn't seem likely to happen now.
No, it doesn't. And anything could happen, I guess.
Yeah.
But it just, I guess it is surprising to me, though, because I didn't really think that Fury Road was going to be such a fluke thing for the Mad Max franchise. I really thought, like, oh, wow, they have reestablished, like, it's established itself now as like a modern franchise that can get into, because it had a decent run, that Fury Road.
Right.
But it's interesting. I guess honestly, I would be a little disappointed if the follow up was going to be another prequel anyway. But we'll see. Technically, from what I was reading, George Miller owns the rights to the characters and the film. So while Warner Brothers has made those movies, in theory, they wouldn't be able to make them without him or without his blessing of some sort. So maybe between now and when he passes, there'll be like some kind of deal struck. I don't know, but
yeah,
it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I'm just glad we got Furiosa. I think I will happily take these two. They're the two best movies in the Mad Max franchise for sure. Maybe it'll come back as a TV show or something. I could see a Max show working out. I don't know, but that's Mad Max: The Wasteland. Never say never.
We hardly knew ye.
Probably never. This one surprised me, and I actually learned about it from your notes here that you added it in. Sony has greenlit Uncharted 2.
Yeah.
Wow. Why?
Yeah, I saw this report come up on IGN, and they're moving forward with it, which is, I don't know how I feel, because I watched Uncharted. I think you watched Uncharted as well, didn't you? And it was fine.
Yep.
Like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it was like it wasn't underrated. It wasn't.
It
Oh gosh, this is terrible. But at the very least, it was fine. Like, it wasn't super great. And I've heard from a lot of people, it wasn't their Nathan Drake, and that's totally cool. I have not played the games, so I can't say. But it made $400 million worldwide mid-pandemic. So I can understand why they would be looking and going, I think that, with a healthy box office environment, maybe there's something we can do here. And I imagine they probably have the numbers from Netflix saying that it probably gets streamed a lot. So that's probably one of the other reasons why they're looking into it. Is Netflix is probably looking at it and going, it's got decent streaming numbers. You want to make a second one for us?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. You said it made $400 million worldwide. It made about $148 million domestically. Had a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay. It feels like a favor to somebody more than anything.
It does. What's the audience score on it, though?
That's a good call. I don't know. Probably higher than it has any right to be, because, like we both said, it's really just okay.
Yeah, I mean, I being not really not knowledgeable about the games, I know like some vague ideas of what it's about, the video games. It was fine. It wasn't like anything too splashy.
We're looking at a 90, which I steadfastly disagree with.
Wow. A 40 versus 90? That's a weird split. Those are always weird splits in terms of Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know what it is on Letterboxd. Probably like a 2.8 or something, if I had to guess. Maybe they'll get it right with the second one.
You were too kind. 2.6.
What is it?
2.6.
Oh, wow. Shoot. That's about as bad as you... in some cases, that's about as bad as you can get on Letterboxd.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Pretty bad, but we're going to get another one.
We'll see. Maybe they'll get it right with the second one. Drake's Fortune. Maybe they'll get it right.
Yeah, this would be a great topic for Garrett to be here for, because during the pandemic, he played through, I think, all of the Uncharted games. And so he's the show's Uncharted expert. So I don't know I don't know if they would base it on the second game. I don't even really know if the first movie was based on the first game. Yeah, I'm a bad movie nerd for that one.
At the very least, I know they got some of the imagery, because like him hanging from the from the boxes that are being dragged by the plane, those kind of things. I know those things are in the game because I remember those trailers and stuff as a kid.
Yeah,
but Nolan North is a very specific kind of guy. They probably should have made the Uncharted movies 10 years ago when they could cast Nathan Fillion,
right,
or somebody like that.
Right.
Oh well.
Okay, and then finally in our sequel news roundup, we've got the sequel that I'm not sure anyone asked for. Spaceballs 2 is in development. From Josh Gad. All of those words are real and not Mad Libs. Spaceballs, the satire of 1977's Star Wars, is being put in development now at a time where Star Wars is quite famously facing some oversaturation issues. We are deciding to satire it again. That's my
Maybe.
those are my
I mean,
thoughts.
who
If you
knows
can
what-
read between those lines.
Yeah, there's been decades now of Star Wars and Star Wars knockoffs that could be, that like, I don't know. I don't know how this is gonna go.
I don't either.
And
Disney dramatically pulled
so
back
have
on
you
Star
ever-
Wars releases, and then we have I don't know who's producing this, but
Well, because have you ever seen the first
oh
Spaceballs?
yeah, many times.
Yeah, I mean, because they parody Alien.
They
and
do,
that.
they
They
do.
parody. Oh gosh, I mean, more than just Star Wars.
Sure.
And so
The whole basis
there's plenty
is
of
Star Wars.
there's plenty of material, but honestly, I did not dig that History of the World Part 2 that they
I
did.
didn't even watch it.
I think it was not worth it. And I was a big fan of History of the World Part 1 when I was younger. That was one of those Mel Brooks movies that like I found somehow. I don't even remember really where I found it, but I was on TV probably after 1 a.m. and I was up too late and I watched it, and I found it so funny at the time. And so I did not feel like that was a worthy follow-up. And like Mel Brooks is great, but
and
there's some
co-producing,
guys,
so he's involved.
yeah. Some guys, some people, some creators. We talked about Idea Man a few weeks ago. Some people like Jim Henson or Mel Brooks, they are so distinct, I think, in their voice. Like their voice is so distinct that it's really hard to replicate it and make it feel authentic.
Yeah.
And I just don't know. And with Josh Gad, I'll be honest with you guys, Josh Gad is my Chris Pratt. Josh Gad is my shoot, I forgot his name. James Corden. Like where everybody else wants those guys to leave, I want Josh Gad to just kind of be done. So I don't know if it's gonna be if that wasn't a selling point when I heard the news. Now the director did do a movie that you love.
Barb and Star
so
Go
how
to
do you feel
Vista Del
about
Mar
this?
is one of my favorite movies of all time. Garrett would second that if he were here. It's very funny and silly, but they also did Strays. Josh Greenbaum,
Yeah.
the director, directed Strays, which I wanted to walk out of. So I don't know what to say to that. Could
And
be the
then,
talent.
some
Could
of the
be
writers-
talent. Strays was
It could
Dogs,
be
and Barb and Star was Kristen Wiig.
Kristen Wiig, and she's hilarious.
Yeah.
So, and then the writing team also did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem, or they worked with Seth Rogen on that, and they did Detective Pikachu, both of which have decent to good reviews, I would say. So, I don't know. There's a lot of interesting talent involved here, and you just don't know what you're gonna get really until we see it. And I just kind of feel like I'm gonna be disappointed.
I know, me too. Well, we'll see.
We try to be.
We'll see if it even happens. I'm not even fully convinced yet, but we rest assured we will follow Spaceballs 2 news every time we can. All right.
Normally we like to cover theatric releases, but if it releases on, maybe we'll do Spaceballs and Spaceballs 2 as a.
It might just
sequels.
release in Josh Gad's
Anyway.
dreams, honestly. Let's switch up here, get our box office roundup for the week before we start to wrap up the show here. All news is Inside Out. No getting around that, right?
No, I mean, a monster second weekend so far for Inside Out. Now, Inside Out 2 has been basically breaking daily records since its release last week, which we told you all about. If you watched our Inside Out 2 review, it broke a June Tuesday record. It broke Monday records. It broke Wednesday. I think the only record it didn't break was Thursday, unfortunately. But it is on its way to potentially a $100 million second weekend. And I know we throw numbers at you guys a lot, but I have to just say $100 million opening weekend is still historic at this point. I believe only 7 movies ever have managed to do that. And this would be the first time since Avengers Endgame in 2019 that a movie has managed to pull that off. Inside Out 2 would be the first ever animated film to make $100 million in its second weekend. It would be only a 35% drop, which is also just that's incredible. Like most movies drop at least between 45 and 55% in their second weekend. And I think a large part of it is, and someone said this the other day, is that it's kind of the main game in town in terms of family films. Because if you look at what else is in the box office this weekend, you have a rated R Bad Boys, a rated R Bike Riders. You have The Exorcism, which is rated R. That's new in theaters this weekend. Is Thelma rated R? Huh? Sorry, you were muted on that. Is
it
Thelma
should be
rated
if it's
R?
not. Yeah, it's rated R.
So your only other options for basically kid-friendly movies are If and the Garfield movie.
And what's Garfield's excuse, honestly, for not doing better?
Right?
I see people like, Garfield's holds really good. Shut up. It looks stupid compared to Inside Out 2.
Now, look, the budget
numbers
on Garfield is apparently super low, so anything it does is going to be fine. And then the other option is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which is PG-13, but that's not like a movie you can take a 6-year-old to.
I wouldn't take most kids to it. It'd bore them,
during like a super hot June across the country. So Inside Out 2 is attracting people at the time they want to be there at the theater. School's out is perfect. So again, this is still just a bit of a projection right now that it might make this 100 million. We'll have to wait until Monday for the final numbers, but it's doing great. And I'm happy to say that my prediction was a little low. My prediction was between 85 and 90 million. And it's looking like I was going to be off on that. I am kind of happy though, because my prediction for the Bike Riders I said would be between 6 and 10, and it's looking right at 10. So
not bad.
So I'm feeling pretty good about that. The rest of the top 5 I did well on. Bad Boys actually finished a little lower than my prediction this week.
Okay.
But a historic weekend, and I won't belabor the point too much, but Inside Out 2 is looking to be the number 1 movie of the year.
Wow.
We'll see what happens when Deadpool comes out. Maybe that'll change everything. But
could be. There's still a lot of year left to see what happens, but it's good to see the box office heating up again after they had all closed. Just a couple weeks ago, all of them shut down, and then Inside Out 2 reopened all of them.
I know. Well,
overnight.
there was like no interest in the box office between March and June.
Yeah,
or the end of June.
All right. Well, on to our final item here. We want to remind you all to mark your calendars for July 11th through the 15th, because the Circle Cinema Film Festival is going to be back for its 6th year. You can join over 2,000 fellow cinephiles for an exclusive look at made in Oklahoma short films, documentaries, and more. Not just made in Oklahoma, but made with people from Oklahoma, and some just that were submitted to the festival for fun. And it's not just a showcase for filmmakers to present their work. It also generates a lot of revenue for Tulsa businesses and hotels, which is great for obviously the community and the film community here. Tulsa was recently nominated for a Cannes Award for its contributions to film. So big festival. We're excited that it's going to be here, and we're excited that we're going to play a part in it. We recently had the pleasure of interviewing Tulsa actress Samantha Isler here on the show. Her new movie, Breakup Season, is going to premiere. It's going to have its Oklahoma premiere, at the festival on July 15th. So keep an eye out for that interview with her coming soon on our YouTube channel and our podcast. You can follow us, in whatever podcast app you choose. But we're going to have that coming out. We love talking to her. She was great. And just come out and see us at the festival. We're going to be there. We're going to talk to folks and just have fun watching all these movies with other film fans.
Yeah, you can go to circlecinema.org, I believe, to find out how to buy passes, I think, to the show, to the festival.
Exactly, yes. And soon you'll be able to go on there and get a list of all the movies that are going to be showing at the festival. Okay, that's the end of the show. Thank you all for tuning in this week. If you enjoyed, please subscribe to us on our YouTube channel and your favorite podcasting app. Now, the whole YouTube subscriber thing. We're currently at 244. And we've updated our goal to 301. Why?
Yeah, easy.
Well, it's top secret. The reasons are top secret, so you don't get to know that. But yeah, it's going to be super easy, I think. All you got to do is subscribe. Just hit that button. Help us get there. 301, our new goal, and then we will be able to update it to the next rung on the ladder. If you want to get more involved with us, join our Patreon for access to our exclusive Discord community. You can do that at patreon.com/so-many-sequels or so-many-sequels.com. We've got a link to it there as well. If you really want to help, leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts helps more people find our show, and we appreciate all those reviews. I think you can also rate us on Spotify now too if you listen there, so do that. And then follow us on social media, wherever you social media, at So Many Sequels Pod. We'd love to hear what you think about the show, and we will be keeping you updated on all the things we're doing there too. Okay, that's it. We'll see you all next time.
Bye.